What we're doing today, we're looking at negative thoughts, and particularly negative thoughts related to feeling pressure. So if you're someone who's feeling a lot of pressure and it's a bit overwhelming at the moment, stick with us. Rachel, would you introduce yourself?
Hi everybody, it's really lovely that you're joining us today. My name's Rachel Honeyford. I'm a counsellor in Bedfordshire, and I'm also a part-time psychology teacher. But Colin and I are both fellow counsellors, and we're just interested really to just try and reach out to people in our local community.
Yeah, we're just looking at some examples really of what a negative thinking would be. Give us some examples, Rachel.
So an example that I've got that I'd like to share with you is, have you ever felt like this? I wonder, I can't cope with the pressure. I feel so much like a failure. And maybe deep down, you know you aren't a failure, or maybe it's really grabbed you and you're really feeling like a failure. And it can result in you feeling something like everything's too much. I can't cope with my workload. It's all too much. I've just got to get rid of some of it. I wonder if you've been feeling like that at all. Colin, back to you again.
Good points there. Some thoughts that a lot of us have. I think one thing I would say is that we can sometimes think that negative thoughts, we shouldn't be having ever have them at all. But I think they're very normal thing to have. I think most people have negative thoughts at some point. It's when we're stuck in a negative spiral and we can't break out that can be the real problem. But rather than fighting them and thinking there's something wrong with me, to try and work out what's happening. And I've got a few tips maybe of what you can do with negative thoughts to help you stand back. I think standing back from them can make a big difference. Rachel, what's helped you to stand back?
I'm a strong Christian, and I've found that taking a spiritual perspective on life can really help me, especially if I'm really struggling. One of the things I'd like to share with you is something from the Bible, and it's where God actually says, cast all your care on him because he cares for you. And by him, he's talking about, we're talking about God here. All your anxiety, all your negativity, and it can give me a totally different feeling by just knowing that God cares about me and that I can give him my pressure. What do you reckon, Colin?
Yeah, I think the spiritual perspective makes such a difference. I think one of the problems that we have in our culture is often it feels all down to us. You know, there's this thinking and saying in society now, isn't it? Your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth. So, but that sounds very nice. But what it means is that basically it's all down to me, and I've got no benchmark. There's no standard to work to. So, since I've been a committed Christian, knowing that God's there and he's given us the Bible to help us, that we've got some independent reference point, that we know what truth is, and also we can cast our cares onto him, and he gives us strength to get through.
Yeah.
But from a sort of a general counselling point of view as well, I think we can do a couple of things as well. We can look at the evidence we have for that thought. So often we become irrational. And we think that we're not good enough, or it's always going to go wrong, or something like that. But if we look at some evidence, what evidence is there for that? What is evidence that I'm no good? I mean, maybe that you've been really good at work for the last 5 years, but suddenly you're feeling really negative. And so looking back to when you were good, looking back to your resources, to your strengths, can be very helpful. And the feelings that go with these thoughts, sometimes our thoughts are driven by negative feelings. Maybe there's been a lot of stuff going on for us. Maybe there's been a bereavement. Maybe there's been a lost job. Maybe there's been some relationship breakdown. And that's driving this sense of being overloaded and just drained,
Yeah.
which can make us feel very negative and think very negative. So to do that can make a big difference. And sometimes we need a friend or even a counsellor to help us to stand back, because all human beings, we need to feel safe. We need to feel we're getting our needs met, and we need to feel that we've got someone who understands. That's where having God, having Jesus there can make a big difference. Having good friends around us, that's where church can make a big difference as well. um, Rachel, any further thoughts on what we can do to sort of ground ourselves away from these negative thoughts?
I think it's easy for me to say, but I think if we grasp it, I think what you've said about connection is very important. Just, you may be feeling, for example, very lonely, and you might be thinking, oh, but I feel so dreadfully lonely. I've also been through times of loneliness, and that can feed negative thoughts. So I suppose I'd like to leave you with the thought that, it's a good thing to reach out if you're feeling really stressed or having a lot of negative thoughts, and that, it might really help. And please feel free to message either Colin or myself, get in touch, or maybe if you feel that you would prefer to do something more anonymously, there's lots of agencies that might help you. You could look things up. There's, for example, Mind, there's the Samaritans, and people actually want to help. Sometimes we feel like we're not worthy of help. So try to just accept that you are worthy of help and just reach out for connection with other people. I think that's my main parting thought, Colin.